Here.
Progress.
Travis,
Here.
Keisha, here.
Here.
Maxine's president for the city council, so, we have a quorum. We have any citizens?
No, we do not.
No citizens. So we need a recommendation to approve the minutes. Yeah, I apologize, I did not put the minutes in mind, so next month we will have those minutes. No minutes present, next we're on to the director's report.
Thank you, Keisha. So, I will go on and share my screen. Okay. All right. So in your packet before you, you have the director's report. And because it was not posted with the agenda, I'll go through it a little bit less fast than I normally do. So since we met the last time, the e-waste shred RX drop-off that's been rechristened the Great Olivet Cleanout was held, and it was a resounding success. We collected over 10,879 pounds of recycled e-waste.
Wow.
So that will all be diverted from the landfills, which is amazing.
How much did you do?
10,879 pounds.
What's the comparison? What would you do?
It's roughly about the same. It's about the same. We seem to have collected a lot more shred. I don't have the poundage of the shred, but it did seem that we actually had several businesses drop off a large amount of shred, so we may need to talk about that next time.
They got the art.
Couple doctors retired.
We had a retired doctor from all this patient files, which is
But
not
was he
really.
in our
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We-
He lives
What?
out of that.
That's a new one.
Yes.
We think so too, so we're gonna, yeah, so we will, he was very elderly, so who knows how old those files were, but we will push out information next time to say that this is not, this is not certified, this is for household doctors.
Is he paid? Do we pay for that?
We do. But it's a platform, so we'll-
How many did you have? Did you have to turn anybody away?
we did not. It
was the last time we did it.
Yeah, this time we didn't. Having it off the city center site was definitely an improvement, but we really want to go to Stacy next time because we will be in construction next time for starters.
I got a call from a couple of people that were at Stacy.
Yeah, we had a big sign up there saying about the community center, but
I
people,
go,
yeah,
read your.
yeah, it's okay. So staff had to help this year, which we've never had to do in the past because of the large capacity, which I think was actually really good. Here's a picture of one of the pile of the electronics. They really will take everything. Then, as most of you know, and many of you were there, Friday, September 10th, we had our first post-COVID native special event, and it was wonderful. We were very worried we wouldn't have a lot of people, but we estimated around 500 people, which was really great. How many? We think about 500. So the parking lot was full, and then we had the spillover parking on the fields, and that worked really well. And a lot of people were masked, a lot of people weren't, but people kept their distance. And the band, Vote for Pedro, was outstanding. They were amazing. This is the band that was funded through the Olivet 90th celebration. So it has been rolled over many, many times. And the agency we worked with us to have it, because at first, their original policy was no refunds, cancel your event, we're done. But they adjusted things during COVID, which was wonderful for us. We learned a lot because it's been a long time since we've had live music, and we learned that the booths that we had under the pavilion, the people could not hear. So we think we did not get as much traffic because of that. So the next time we have a live band, we'll rethink the layout there, but it was good. But as for the first event post-COVID, we were pretty pleased. I was very pleased with that. And we had all of that in bloom there, handing out milkweed seeds. International Dark Sky was there, and they had a telescope for people to look at the moon, which they had a steady line for that. The wildlife rescue was there, and they had pictures of the fox that was rescued from the Stacy Park area, which was really great. It was rehabbed and released. And I'm very, very happy, very pleased. It was a nice re-entry. All right, so we've got updates on park work. So here's a big exciting project that happened. Our beautiful hiking trails that were opened under the pandemic have had an incredible amount of use. And then we're learning as we go, because these are our first hiking trails in our page. And one was a couple washouts from heavy rains. So here is a new, I guess, what do you call this, Ed? A coffin? Is this a coffin? You call this a coffin in the trail?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't get it.
Okay, so what Ed devised here is a system where he dug out the trail, he put in small gravel, large gravel, and boxed it with logs, and then filled it and put pavers on the top so that the water can flow under it and hopefully not wash out the trail again. So this project was done by Ed and Cody Stewart, our seasonal horticultural assistant. So it was a fantastic job.
And Merrill helped too.
Oh, did he? Oh, excellent.
Well, yeah.
Okay, excellent. You know what? This is not my latest version. I don't think this is the same version that you have. Oh, it is the same version you have from me. Well, so we have some other words that were supposed to be here. So our, the personnel update is that Craig Loving started on our park crew. He's the new limited equipment operator. This is the new position that the city council funded for this budget year. Craig came to us from the city of Eden Park, where he worked for Divinity Park, and also they have a consortium up there with some other small cities. So he has a lot of park maintenance experience as well as mechanical experience on vehicles and small engines. So he's already repaired our tractor. He already was able to repair the stump rider in the field, put the belt back on right there, and so it was time to stop work and figure out how to get it into repair. So he's already been a tremendous asset to the staff. The park crew has been busy with getting everything out of the park house, and they are moving into the community center until the new park building is built. So they're taking over the stage. Their lockers will be there and their small tools. And then we have shipping containers coming to the parking lot of the community centers. The first two arrive tomorrow, and then we'll have some either Friday or Monday coming in. And they'll be storing a lot of their gear in there. We will also be storing some things up at the Stacy Park concession stand. Not a lot of them, but we'll relocate all the Weed Warriors items up there. And then they may have to store some equipment under the pavilion at Stacy. We'll see how that goes. We're trying to avoid putting things under the pavilion, but there may not be a recourse. Soccer basement under the pavilion? Pardon me?
Is there a basement in there?
No. They would sit under the
Oh,
shelter, yeah. We may put like the track.
Don't we use the pavilion, the kitchen area a lot for the turkey drive or?
Well, we wouldn't do it until December after.
Oh, okay.
That's all. Yeah, we can hold them back until it's really bad when it happens. Normally we would just store things in the park under tarps, but everything's getting constructed, so we have to be pretty careful. Soccer is off to a roaring start. They are adorable. We have some teams that are electing to wear masks during the games, and the other teams are abiding by that. So everyone's been very understanding and supportive of that, which is great. Micro soccer started last weekend, which is really cute. Due to the construction of Obama, we do have a parking crunch. So the staff's been proactively sent out parking tips to parents and coaches, encouraging people to carpool and telling them where they can park off-site. So there are no parking sites on the adjacent streets on one side only to allow, so that cars don't park on both sides, but people can park on the side where the signs are not. We're having difficulty with people understanding that. So staff's gonna be reaching out to coaches again, because people tend to not park where they see one more parking sign. So we really encourage them, you can absolutely park on the opposite side of the street. And we've also encouraged them to use the two remaining lots at the elementary school, so people are parking in the front turnaround, but it's interesting, Don noticed over the weekend, they don't park in the principal spot, which is great. But they are not using the lot behind there. So there are some times where parents are dropping off their kids and then continuing to circle. So the game times are staggered, but we will continue reminding people that that there is additional parking close by. But you know, we all know, if you don't know that you can park there and walk, you know, you think it's so far, but it really isn't. Then youth basketball, we started registration for this. We are working on options. The staff's working with the school district. We're still waiting to hear if we'll have gym space in the school district because they are also under construction. So fingers crossed. We're also, Corey, our new rec coordinator, and Dawn are reaching out to U City. There's a chance we could potentially partner with them because their rec department isn't really up and running yet, but they do have space. So we have staff, they have facilities, we might be able to coordinate something there. So they're working on that. So fingers crossed. And then the micro basketball will happen in March, and that's easy to do that on weeknights, and that leaves the gym on the weekends open. Our adult programs continue to return. Just recently, line dancing with Michelle Walker returned back in. We still have senior exercise and strength and fitness doing the bifurcated class where some people are in person, some people are at home. We did have potential exposure to Missouri River cloggers. All of the participants are vaccinated and they all wore masks in class. And then a couple days after class, one of the students tested positive. So she reached out to us. We notified the whole class. We suspended it for 2 weeks, and then no one else tested positive after the event. So, so those protocols we continue to keep in place. And the woman who got sick, she was so apologetic. She called and emailed, and she said, "Please don't kick me out. I will quit if you want me to." And I'm like, "No, you're welcome back when you're well and test negative." So, then exciting news. So we know, as many of you are familiar, in our Parks Master Plan, cricket was identified as a growth sport in the United States and growth sport in the St. Louis region. And a couple of years ago, we had the Youth Cricket Association present to us very emphatically they really want cricket. And in the Park Master Plan and the multi-use fields at Stacy, there is an opportunity to have a cricket pitch out there. And the youth group has committed to helping us fund the center strip that would be a AstroTruth insert for people to play on that wouldn't interfere with soccer and could be used congruently. And in the midst of this, we've had an adult team, and well, it was started out as a loose pickup team playing on Friday nights at Stacy Park. They've become more formalized. Most of them are employees at WashU. They now have their own team, and they play in leagues up in Overland, Florissant, down south. I can't remember all the places, but they definitely are playing around in the area, and most of them live in U City, Creford, all of that. So they really like Stacy because it's central. So what they have proposed with us is we are now allowing them to store their portable pitch. So this is a great picture that shows you the portable pitch. Right now they're using the infield because they like the harder surface. So the plan will be eventually that a similar pitch to what they're standing on there. It's almost like a rolled up AstroTurf mat. They're storing this in the park, and but eventually this is what it'll look like when we put the centerpiece out in the middle of the field. So I thought this is a great picture, and they get a lot of spectators coming by and chatting and people asking what they're doing. So our hope is that down the line that we'll have a lot more introductory programs to introduce people to cricket, and then eventually we will have some classes, camps, and leagues. So that's pretty exciting, and they are very enthusiastic. Weed Warriors kicks off in October. I hope you all join us. We'll be at Stacy Park. This is October 9th, which would be great to see you all there. And that is it for the breakfast updates. City Council report. Do you want to bear with me there? When we get to that, okay, separate. Yeah.
City council report, I did my homework for Ed from the last meeting, I promised, but I think we've said this before, but I just wanna make sure it's out there, that, the question was the Gilman project, we stopped in Olive, we stopped adding the sidewalks and went from, and now it goes all the way to, west as far as Olivet goes. Not west, south. So Gilman is a county road from Olive North to Page. So from up here, but the county is in the process of resurfacing Gilman in the next year. However, they completed most of it, it's not all side, and it's not all sidewalk improvements. So they're not adding new sidewalks. I was misled to believe that. On the east side of Gilman though, on our property and not along the road, from City Hall to the river, the city is adding a trail. And the first segment from the City Hall to Gilman Industrial Road will be completed this year.
Is that the?
They just got a trail, so I don't know.
Is that?
I think it's asphalt, I think they're putting asphalt down, because there's a grant for that.
Oh, okay, that's not assumed, so.
No, it's not, I don't think it's rock, I think it's
Yeah.
Well, the
crushed
travel
right
that-
now, but I believe, but unfortunately Bruce is on vacation, so he's spring, but when he's back, we can verify that. Yes.
I assume so, because it's a mixture of old asphalt and white rock, so that typically means it's a bed.
I think it's
or
the
something
bed,
else.
yeah, I think so, I believe so, and then, he's done native seeding that you can see in the northern section of that, and that we're actually going to be adding more native plants along the side there.
That's for the bulldozing of the little bit of the earthworks. Yeah, thank you.
And if you see around the city, they've been doing a lot of patchwork already, just in the road, there's a lot of patchwork being done before the winter of potholes and everything. So, the main thing that we're still dealing with is a lot of items that have to do with the park. The funding, where we refinance the bond from here and linking the bond to the next one, and that big call is in about 2 or 3 weeks. And the person we work with, Joy Howard, she's amazing. She was amazing when we did this building, and she's been very helpful to the council once again. And she'll actually do the bidding that morning when we deal with that. We've also, well, as you know, we looked at the pavilion, we threw that back to the company, we're gonna be getting some at our meeting next Monday night. And we've been spending a lot of time also talking about economic development. So Opus, actually last month was approved, so they're kind of like, just getting some of the final things done, making sure the plaques are right. There's a new street going in off of Old Bottom, that's not, the city is not doing that, that's a private developer. But, once again, we have to approve the plaques and make sure everything's correctly done. So it's really a lot of building, easy storage, we've been working with once again. If you drive by the old Honda Rosa, there you can see that they, it's been called planting there. And they have also started leveling the land and building it up. The Oliver, which is where the old city hall is, it's looking great, it's got the roof on it, and all when you drive down Oliver, it's really exciting. So, we really just been dealing with a lot of the economic development and the business end of the agreements for the building moving forward. And also with the building, with the community center, one of the things we've been dealing with is also looking at with the contracts is that we make sure that the agreements have in it that small minority companies are have to get a percentage of the work. And we've also put into our goals for this year as a council to work with someone, and so we're also looking at people who's gonna come in and work with the council to set some new standards for the community and for the city, with diversity and. So, I think we're doing some good work to move in that direction, and, it's hard to do meetings with masks, but we're plugging along. It's my glasses coming off and on the whole meeting, because we're fogged over the yellow, so it's just, it's good, and, yesterday was the sheriff breakfast,
for the police officers. It was, over in St. Charles. I know that, the mayor went, Mayor Clark, he posted a picture there with him and, Bush, no, Joe, Joe Buck. I think Joe Buck is always the MC. It's, they honor all the officers who have, passed away or been killed in the line of duty. And it's a very humbling experience. It's usually in the spring, but due to the pandemic, they moved it to the fall. And I know that Greg Carl and the mayor represented us this year. So it was a very moving service. Ready?
Changing of the watch.
Yeah. Any questions?
Is WFE women-owned businesses included in the diversity discussion, or is that another topic?
Yes. Yes.
Any update on Starbucks?
All I know is that I see what you see. Is they're privately leased through Key and they've leased their contract hasn't run out, but it appears that they're emptying out and cleaning out. No, and trust me, I asked, because I've been driving, I've been spending my bucks in New City. We don't need that revenue.
Your husband ready on
No. No. There's 2 Starbucks on my way to work, but I miss I see the employees at this one and other ones, and I can say, oh, yeah. So, no, it's not yet, but hopefully we'll get a coffee shop of some kind.
We don't think they're coming back.
The fact that they took their sign off the brick makes me think that they're gone. But there's been no official word at this time.
Well, probably the complication of the litigation, and then they may want to store the drive-throughs. And there's really nowhere to have a drive-through right there.
Can you say it?
No, I said that the litigation or the accident, I said, and then most of the newer stores are drive-throughs. So, and there's no way to put a drive-through right there.
I mean, this one has been to talk about preventing this. I know it was a 1 in a million accident kind of thing, or is it? Is there any move on the owners of the development to keep something like that from happening again, either with Ballards, or has there been any talk about
No
that?
one can do anything, something with new development moving forward, I don't know.
The city can't do anything.
Yeah, but it's, we're not even aware of the litigation and how it's going and what the ultimate issues are. But, I will bring that up in the meeting. So we've talked about whether some buildings that are closer to the street should have that.
I guess that's where my thought was going, was the current development and new development, or even in the future. Is there any, is this something that the city wants to
This
start?
is such a fluke. If you look at where the sidewalk was and where his car was.
Right.
For his car to jump that, I mean, it was 12 or 15 inches. He wasn't at one of those flat spots like by Sugar Fires. And Sugar Fire, that's one of the reasons they have that big pig there. That is their rattler. It's cement. So I think that, we do things in all that to avoid these situations.
Sure.
Places have those cement.
Absolutely. Of food that he was able to jump that curve. Just right.
But I just know that in the new development, I think buildings are getting closer to the road too. I didn't know what kind of.
Okay, I will bring that up in a minute.
Yeah, that's a concern, I've heard over and over about the Opus. What's the one right here?
The Oliver.
The Oliver, that it's right at the street. So.
Those aren't apartments on the lower level, but you're right, it is. What's it called? There'll be people in those, but I don't know. That was their design that they wanted, so they could have pushed it back a little bit. And if anyone wants to, I know that there's someone wanted the password, it's over here in the corner. It's city desk in the center, and then it's a 0. In the center.
Are you doing that? Okay, are there any more questions? Any more questions for Maxine? No, any commissioner reports?
Next one.
Okay, fall special events?
We have so many special events coming up now that we're kind of re-engaged. I thought it would be nice to give you an overview of what's coming. So, let me share my screen. Okay, so right now we are in the final days of the Parks for Pollinators Bio Blitz. So the Bio Blitz is sponsored by the National Parks and Recreation Association, and it's a way to engage residents in getting out in the parks, or actually anywhere in all of that, and finding out what's living there. And this particular Bio Blitz is focusing on pollinators. Typically it happens in the spring, but of course, COVID, everything else, it got pushed to the fall this year. But it's free. It's using something called the iNaturalist app. And let's see if I may have turned these links off. Let's see if it works. Yeah, great.
You turn them on. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to our website instead. I know that one will work a little better. So on all of it, Parks and Rec, where you can find the easiest way is to use your phone, of course. But right here on the front page, we have the Parks for Pollinator Bio Blitz.
You're not sharing.
And if you click into, oh, I didn't share the right screen. Oh, for goodness sakes. Technology. So I should do a new share. See that? Okay. Let me go back to the homepage. So here's the homepage. So the homepage, you can click on Bio Blitz, and it kind of explains to you what it is. And it uses a free app, iNaturalist. And when you log in, you can make your own profile. This is the City of Olivet one. And then we currently have a project going, and our project is Parks for Pollinators. So when you set up your account, you can join this project. And then any observation you make within the city limits of Olivet, as long as it falls under the tax that we have identified for Parks for Pollinators, which is pretty much any pollinator or plant, and pollinators could be beetles, flies, butterflies, bumblebees, mosquitoes, all those things. So you can see here are some observations that people have been doing. So we have, I think we have 9 people participating now. These are people in all of that have registered their accounts. We have 150 observations. And I apologize, I don't know if, there it is. So here, we're up to 10. We have 10 observers now, which is fantastic. 150 observations, 92 species, and then identifiers are scientists or master naturalists or master gardeners in other regions that go through and verify your observations. Because what iNaturalist does, you upload a picture and it helps you identify what it is you put up. So it's awesome. And then someone will come in and tell you what it is. So for example, here's our observations. Here's someone put up a black-eyed Susan. And you can see now where it was in the St. Louis region. You can see that someone came in and agreed that yes, indeed, that is a black-eyed Susan. So what's amazing about this is it helps bring science closer to everyday people, but it also helps us track the biodiversity in our parks, especially as we're trying to increase our biodiversity, increase our natives, increase our pollinators. And then a lot of researchers use this citizen data to track invasive species or to see, they use it to track where the monarchs are, where how the caterpillars are hatching and all these different things. So it's a very powerful tool. And what we found is that there are already a lot of research projects that have identified Stacey Park. Stacey Park's our biggest park. It has a lot, it has the prairies for the diversity. So we know there's doctoral students at SLU and at WashU that have used observations at Stacy Park for their research projects. So it's pretty exciting. So it really opens up science on a more accessible level. I'm gonna stop this share and bring back the event page. There you go. So this runs through the end of the month. So this is our first year. It's pretty good to have 10 people the first year. And I anticipate that each year we do it, we'll do more marketing around it. We've worked kind of kinks out about how to explain it and make it easy. I think we'll have more and more people each year.
What's the full name?
It's search all of that. That's the easiest way to find it. Because if you do Parks for Pollinators, you get cities from all over the United States. So yeah, because this is sponsored by the national agency, so there are a lot of communities. We're the only one in St. Louis County though that's participating in this. St. Charles County Parks is doing it, but we're the only ones, which is surprising to me. So
Is our Bloom sponsoring it? Is
They're
that
close-
the label?
yeah, they're co-sponsoring it with us, and they helped people download the app and understand it at Party in the Park at our kickoff, and they donated the milkweed seeds. They gave out the milkweed seeds in conjunction with the Parks for Pollinators. And they're excited to grow too, and so a lot of our observers are all been new members, which is wonderful. Citywide yard sales coming up October 2nd and 3rd. And if you only want to participate one day, that's A-okay. It's free. All you have to do is go to the website, sign up for your house, and then if you want a yard sign, we have a $10 deposit, pick up the yard sign. Weed Warriors kicks off on October 9th at Stacy Park. We'd love to see all of you out there. It's very easy. You don't even break a sweat unless you want to, but it's great. We've had great turnout during the pandemic, so I'm really hoping we have a good turnout on October 9th. Harvest Festival Boo Bash is coming up on October 15th. This is new this year. It's going to be at Stacy Park, which we're very excited about. And Ed Kastner, your fellow commissioner, is helping us do a haunted trail. So we will really need a lot of volunteers for this. So what I will do is I'm going to send out to you a list of all the things that we need volunteers to participate in, and you can self-select what you'd like to do. But we'll have some of our traditional things still there. We'll still have the pumpkin decorating for kids.
You
We'll
want
have
us to recruit some volunteers?
love for you. Once you see the jobs too, it'll make it easy for you to recruit people. And then we'll have the hayride. The Park School will be doing the hayride again, and this they'll get a nice longer ride. They'll be able to ride out through the prairie, which would be pretty cool. They were showing a movie. We're showing oh my gosh, on the tip of my tongue.
Hocus Pocus.
That Hocus Pocus. That's it. Kids Night Out is December 17th. Always sells out. So if you have young children and you would like a night out, register early. I don't believe register begins on the register.
Are you
begins on
doing
the
anything special for COVID protocols with that?
Probably, everything we do is masks are required in our buildings, so I'm sure the kids be masked up unless they're eating. Holiday Light Hop is coming back. This is something that started during the pandemic and we're bringing it back again, so people can sign up for free to put their house on the map. Want to drive around and see light decorations. And what I noticed last year based on this is there are some subdivisions that go all out that I didn't even realize. So Ramsgate is one where it seemed like everybody had lights up on that street and they had them up early, like before Thanksgiving. So who knew? I had no idea.
Because everyone's bored and lonely.
Yeah, everyone was bored last year.
I really know,
Yeah.
depressed.
I decorated the bejesus out of our house last year because I had nothing else. I just tried to do it.
I feel that for you.
Central Europe.
Ramsgate?
Yeah, that was great, I had no idea. So here's just the flyers of things that are coming up. Here we go. So it's going to be so fun, I can't wait, and I think Stacy Park, I think that's gonna be a fun change to do that. Oh, we did, I apologize.
Oh, my.
Again, second.
I was
Let's go back to the commission meeting schedule.
We certainly will, and I'm hoping all of you brought your calendars and can tell me conflicts with. I'm hoping there aren't too many high holy days, but
The only one
probably
I
are.
saw was on March 16th. I think it only affects Sue and myself at this time, is, the McGill reading as a forum.
Okay.
It's, but the problem is the following week, spring break, that you might go to the 30th.
Well, what if you went the week, what happens if the week prior,
The 9th,
the 9th?
are there other commissions? I don't know.
Not on Wednesdays. There's court, but we can be in here, which is actually, I like this room better, I think. How do you guys feel about this room? A little less intimidating than the dais, right?
So you wanna do it on the 9th?
It's up to you. What do you guys think? If everyone wants to check their calendars. It's crazy to think it's 2022 we're looking at in there.
Which month, I'm sorry?
March.
March.
Only comes to Thursday.
Well, as of now, I don't have any conflicts on the night.
Anybody have conflicts? Other than Well, moving it to May.
Yeah, that is what spring break, which I think people probably will have conflicts this year.
Especially if, the travel.
Yeah, especially with the travelers, yeah. So I will go ahead and make a change on here, if you would like, someone would like to make a recommendation. We can approve it.
We have a motion to change the March 16th meeting to March the 9th.
So moved.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Yeah, we need a motion to approve all of it.
Nope, that was a motion to us to approve the calendar
As amended.
as amended, yep. I am now going to do a save as, this is the approved. And I'll email this out to all of you. And then I'll also do a new meeting request. I took off the old, you probably all noticed the old one disappeared because that link was bad.
And I think Sue Travis, I probably need one of those notebooks that we got.
He has one.
Oh, here,
Yeah.
of course he has one.
Yeah, and then I'll also send out for everybody's review, I'll give everybody Travis's information, give Travis all of yours, and then once you have elections, I'll update the contact sheet. But I'll give everybody's information.
Okay, so now we're back to number 9, the Park Master Plan, Park Master Plan. implementation.
Let me get that up. Okay, so a lot has happened since our last meeting, but not a lot of concrete things to report on. So we are still waiting for mobilization on the community center, and we're still waiting to finalize schematic design for the park. So the timeline hasn't really shifted. One big thing that happened on the timeline is we postponed the September 29th public meeting because without finalized schematic designs and playground designs and the pavilion for Stacy, there's nothing to report to the public. So we postponed that again. So park updates. So we are still winding up the schematic design phase for Indian Meadows, Riverside Villa, and Stacy Parks, but we were so close. We submitted the municipal park grant for Villa and Park on time in the amount of $368,545. And it passed the initial staff review, And then it passed the advisory board review. I had to step out of the room for it, but we are the third highest points for granting the funds. And it now goes to the official Community Park Commission board for final approval. So I am very, very cautiously optimistic, or I should say,
Give that number again.
$368,545, and it's on your report.
And what's the city's responsibility of that number?
Of that number, that's a pure gift to us. The total project cost is, when you apply for a grant, that for the Parks and Rec, for the Community Park grant, we're responsible to do 5% of whatever project you're doing. So we're actually contributing more than 5% to the project.
I don't know.
Not of that number, on top of that number. Yeah, but we did not request 100% of the project at Villa, because so as much as you request, then you have to document all of the purchases and the payments and everything, and it makes it that much harder because we're doing more than we actually are requesting in the grant. So it's when we did the project master, there's a dance you do with what's being funded, because we did not want to have to report on everything.
What is the total project cost?
The total cost at Villa is for something. It's on that spreadsheet. It's pretty close. There wasn't, so we're requesting the playground, splash pad, and the trails. And that's almost the majority of the Villa, but some of the planting is not included, I guess.
And we'll know that when.
Well, you have it in your previous report, so we did the breakdown. By
Yeah, what will we know?
Oh, the grant, I'm hoping, well, I don't know the actual meeting date, it's in the next couple of weeks. I think it's early October, yeah. So I'm hoping by the next meeting, we'll know. But if we hear before the next meeting, I would want to tell all of you, because it's pretty exciting.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, I'm very excited, so.
You will give her spring to the city.
Exactly.
So was this cost already in the body initiative? So this
It
is
was,
additional saving?
but what it allowed us to do is reallocate funds to other parks, because everything, as you all know, because you've seen us refine the designs, everything came in higher than what we anticipated, so. It allowed us to do the splash pad there for sure. And now we're gonna also go out, so this is round 22, round 23 next year, we're gonna do another application, because we haven't done them for several years, so there's a chance we will get another several $100,000 grant in the next grant cycle, and that one, right now, the way we'll know better when we get the construction calendars, when we bid out the park projects. But it's looking like Warson might fall within the grant parameters to apply for the splash pad at Warson. So that's very good news.
So I guess if this was originally budgeted and now we're getting a grant for it, where else to spend the $300,000?
In all of the parks.
On what? I mean, we
Increase.
So all of the parks were over budget with the initial concept plans we had. So this allows us to do more of those projects. So we're not doing additional things, but it's allowing us not to have to value engineer more out.
Remember when we discussed it, we said we want to do, in addition to the bond, we have to raise money through grants. This is that money. And that would just help us get to, enable us to do the whole.
I understand that, but I guess what I'm trying to understand is what are we adding to that we weren't going to be able to do?
We have not subtracted anything yet.
So then it's not a savings.
It's not, well, it means that we won't have to do cuts down the lines. So it's saving $368,000 that will not be a future cut in our concept plans.
So is that a playground? I mean, is that an extra slide? I guess maybe we can talk offline, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
Because it's not making, it doesn't.
So the numbers, each of the numbers they did initially were based on cost at the time of the master plan.
And as we know, you know what the average increase in construction material cost is on this project? They gave it at the meeting last week. It's like 15% more than the initial cost. It was something like that. So if you would have had the park material cost in the community center, for example, and they're not having to do that because of it possibly getting these funds.
I
So
understand
they're
that,
shifting money.
but what I'm saying is on what? So is it an extra toilet or, that's what I'm saying, so.
Well, so what it is it's probably a playground, because that's what the grant is for. Because that level of funding is pretty much a playground, but it's also, could be a parking lot as well. So so for example, the new community center is being built, we had several bid alternates in there. The second room divider was a bid alternate, the parking lot resurfacing was a bid alternate.
And the
So-
playground, the indoor playground,
The indoor playground originally was a bid alternate, but I think it came back
It's
in.
in there.
Yeah, it's in that. So, but none of the park money has gone to the community center. But that's an easy one for me to say because we've already did that project. The parks themselves have not gone to formal bid. We're only doing construction estimates through the project manager. So each time we do another phase of the design, so right now we're in schematic design, each phase we enter into, they do another cost model of what they think the construction costs are at this point. So when we came into schematic design, the parks were out of alignment by about 50% across the board. Stacy Park more so because of that parking lot and the new pavilion costs. So Villa, we scaled back some of the landscaping around the edges. We also scaled back some of the invasive species removal because a lot of that we're gonna do with volunteers. But it's still kind of moving because we still haven't finished schematic design. So when schematic design is done, we'll have a much more solid footing for when we go out to bid. So the cost savings, the value engineering and the cost savings that happen is a kind of a fluid process until we actually go to bid and we know what our hard numbers are. So I have the value engineering spreadsheet on the community center that I'm going to show tonight, and it kind of gives you an idea. The parks are kind of working in the same way.
And when do we estimate one to do it?
For the parks, let me look at the timeline again. It's
I'm just curious,
I understand where you're coming from, because it sounds a little backwards, it's like we're trying to direct things before they have. But we had put in, like, let's say this grant hadn't come through, we would have had to go looking, searching for other grants.
I guess what I'm trying to get at, how much more do we need to search for? Because we can't say.
If we get this grant-
How much over.
Well, we
And
don't,
we don't, and you're saying we won't know because we haven't did it.
well, no, when we finalize schematic design and the pavilions and the playgrounds are selected, the pavilions and the playgrounds are pretty much hard costs right now. We will know exactly where we are when we finish schematic design, but until then, we won't know, because those are unknowns until the final design happens. But we are supposed to go to bid in January. You can see right here, bids and contracts, oops, sorry. So sorry, my mouse is too fast, here we go. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay,
when you give us a country.
okay, yeah, so when schematic design finished, then we go into construction, formal construction documents. Once that is prepared and the big package goes out, and so we'll release the bids in January. But we will know before that where we stand, because we have to select alternates for the bidding in case things come low. Now, we're hopeful, because when the bid was done for the community center, it was the community center, Warsaw Park, and the Centennial Greenway were all in the same bid package. Centennial Greenway and the Warsaw Park components came in on target. The community center did not, and that gives us hope that the parks are gonna probably be much more in alignment with our expectations. That when we first started down this path with COVID, lumber was really high. So we were not worried at all about the community center because it has very little lumber. Well, now lumber's come down and now steel is the real problem. So that did impact the community center. But the park things, particularly the greenway, came in right on target. So we are optimistic that the parks will probably be the same, because there isn't steel in the parks unless we choose a steel pavilion. So we're looking pretty good. The asphalt has calmed down, and the grading with a lot of the park work is grading and planting, so that should stay kind of where we are right now. That should not see the swing with COVID impacting the way things that come from overseas too.
So that's the construction strategy, and then we have a meeting with the financial, bond issue, manager. What's the financial strategy here as we keep going, time, cost of money changes, cost of construction changes? Do we just, when we finally get bids and contracts in, do we potentially de-scope?
We de-scope before that, yeah, unless we have to do, unless something comes out radical.
Yeah.
So for example, in the community center, we had several things identified as good alternates. And they may not go in, you know, we know for sure the parking lot was pretty high. The second partition was astronomical, and the hanging curtain in the gym. So those are things that, those are things that the infrastructure will go in to put them in later, but they won't happen in the first phase of construction. So those are easy things to separate out. So in the value engineering for the community center that was done, there's been no structural, no architectural cuts made, because we've shown the building to everybody. That's what we're gonna build. And the money that was left on the table for the bond sale really helped us out. So for those of you that know the bond, when the vote was approved for the bond, it was at a specific dollar amount. When we sold the bonds, we sold less than our full amount. So now we're coming back and selling that remainder, and that makes up a lot of the gap.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, so, and that's the bond sale that Maxine was talking about, so, that's fantastic, 'cause that was a very good strategy, coming in because we really didn't want to sell those bonds unless we had to.
Yeah.
So it was part of our contingency, but we're still carrying the contingency on all these projects, we still have money that has not been spent. Yeah.
What is the contingency?
I can't remember exactly where we are now. I think we were at 20%, I think we've gone down to 10%.
And you know, Darren Mann, who many people have met, I don't know if Carol has met, but I think everyone else has met him. Darren, who is our financial guru, he has been in all of these conversations, and he is keeping track of everything, and if you've ever been to any of his meetings where he charts and everything, trust me, he's on top of any penny, and like he was with this building.
And the last city council meeting.
Yeah.
He did a detailed presentation, so you want to go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very helpful. And then our project manager, we have Navigate Building Solutions as our owner rep and project manager, and they also are amazing. They really, they know the business inside and out, they know the vendors and the contractors, so, it's been great also because we been going through the value engineering, some of the changes we've made have been suggested by the contractor. So you have, X product identified here, we can do the same standard with project Y and save a significant amount of money. So we're doing a back and forth with contractor suggestions as well, which has been very helpful. So kind of going back in here, so I already told you about the shipping containers and what sells, the equipment is coming in, the shipping containers are coming in 23rd, 24th, possibly Monday. Just finding shipping containers was incredibly difficult. Dawn has beat the pavement to find these shipping containers, and the sizes have been all over the place, the availability. When we first started looking at them a year ago, no problem, and now you cannot find them. It's just,
Where are they gonna sit?
they're gonna sit in a row between the island and the dumpster.
Gotcha.
Yeah, facing the parking lot. We're actually we were considering just putting them on your driveway.
That's why I asked.
I had to give Travis like the geography.
Yeah,
I had too many people walk down my driveway thinking they're going to.
So, but as you know, at our last meeting, we selected, the playground vendor, which was all-inclusive rec. They represent several lines of playground equipment. And based on the concept designs and the ideas that we had for the parks, they presented a whole slew of different park components that fit those criteria, like sculptural or climbing or nature-based play. And we stripped all the manufacturers' names, all the identifiers off of them and put them on boards at Party in the Park for the public to wander by and have comments on. And it was really fun because everything people wrote was really nice. There were no things that said, this is ugly, why are you doing this? So I've given you, you have a printout here of all of them. So these are photographs of the actual boards. And then I transcribed them because it's hard to read them. So what we noticed out of this is the stainless steel didn't seem to grab people's attention. So this is the sculptural ones that we thought were really cool, but I think less comments might mean that people just maybe don't like them, I'm not sure. Is that a nice way of people saying they don't like them by not putting comments on it? Now this panel, people love. We heard a whole bunch of stuff. For some reason, Spider-Man was a theme in here, and I guess because of that big cable that comes off the lookout tower. People did ask for zip lines. We are really not comfortable putting in zip lines. We really aren't comfortable with that right now. Then we heard a lot about, yes, we love the water. And then people also loved seesaws, which would I'm still trying to wrap my head around that seesaws back there, but currently they're safe for now. But people also loved the nature play. So we really got a lot of great nature play. And I mean, it's a cute little drawing of an eye. I have no idea what that's for. And then people really liked the Jabba Yaga hut. What's the name of the hut? Jabba Gabba, yeah, Jabba Gabba. Yeah, people liked that. So it was kind of fun.
Star Wars or
No, I think actually means witch's hut in a Eastern European language. So it was fun to be able to get the reactions. And Keisha, thank you for working that for part of the night. Did you hear any conversation that wasn't posted up on the post-its that?
No, I just don't think this is a rare, I think this is a very small sample.
It is, oh, it's
Very
of course.
few people who came.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So will this be?
I think of the thing we used to do up here, when we used to have people put hundreds of these on. I think it has to be in another.
Well, they will. We're still gonna have a public meeting.
But that was my question though, like, so can it be in the next, I guess it came out already, like, where will, a representative sample be able to see this?
Well, a representative sample of 8,000 people is pretty small, but we will absolutely have a public meeting. We absolutely will. That's, as soon as we get schematic designs and we have something to show people, we will have another public meeting.
You have any idea what that is?
Well, I'm hoping to do the end of October, because I want to do it before we get into the holidays, and before we go out to bid. So if it counts, so it's going to you on the 29th, then it goes to the town, sorry, the 27th, it goes.
Sorry,
to-
I didn't.
No, that's good, thank you.
You need
Monday.
to change them too.
Pardon me?
In the document, it says Monday the 29th, so just make sure that no one's confused.
That is my error, I will fix that, I apologize. Yeah, it's Monday, the 27th. You'll look at it, and then it will go on to the city council on the 5th. And then, if we can schedule a public meeting, then we'll really have solid feedback.
And will the pavilion be part of that public meeting?
Yes, you will see pavilion designs and playground
So
designs.
we got any feedback on that yet?
The internal design team has, and Ed's been sitting in on that, in Jim's place, so we've given feedback, and you will have 2 options on Monday. Yes, I think so. One of the big things we're looking at, the pavilion was astronomical, it was $500,000. And what we really pushed back, once the council rejected everything, we went back and said, why is it costing? So the pavilion is roughly $100,000. The huge cost came with the new restrooms and the new storeroom. And we really started looking at that, do we really need, if we go back to our original Parks Master Plan, financial responsibility was one of the key items. And being flexible and adaptive reuse of some of our older amenities, moving things around. So one of the things we're exploring right now is how good a shape are the restrooms? Because right now they're in a great spot. They're right by the tot lot, but not too close. Everybody knows where they are. Can we upgrade the restrooms where they are? And can we keep the storeroom where it is? Take the concession stand items out of it and put like a roll-up door so that we can really use it truly for a storeroom instead of having to unload everything and bring it into the doors. And then take the pavilion part off of it and build a new pavilion closer as we want to the parking lot. So that was our direction after we had to regroup after everything. And I think that we're getting much closer to a better design. And having that giant storeroom and building it kind of just exploded the whole thing, but probably in a good way, because if we don't have to rebuild, if we can renovate what we have in place, I mean, I think that is financially responsible, and that does reduce our resources instead of tearing down building new. So
One of my questions for the council meeting, because the council meeting will be before the Monday night meeting, Monday night.
no, council comes after.
Well, I've been privy to season stuff, but one of my questions is that I didn't realize, and I think it's important for people here to know, that the bathroom is not attached. I thought it was attached.
To what?
To the pavilion that exists now.
It is, it's all
Oh,
attached.
it's all under the same roof. It's all under the
Well,
same
it's all
roof.
the same roof,
Yeah.
but it's the block, the cement block, whatever.
Yeah, the cement block.
Yeah. You take the roof
They
off
went
and-
up to the
yeah,
kitchen.
Yeah.
Right. But I
It's-
didn't realize
it's
that
cinder
until
block.
I was,
Yeah.
cinder block.
Yeah, the whole thing's cinder block.
Right, but then you could make it still look
You
very
can-
nice. and
Yes, it
reality.
could look
You
very
can
nice.
separate the kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have to recall
Winterize though.
It already is winterized.
Yeah, it's already
Those
catered,
bathrooms,
yeah.
those bathrooms
Yeah.
stay
Yeah.
open, they
So
stay.
that's the only one.
That's
That's,
the only one.
yeah, that's the beauty of that whole
Yeah.
setup. is If we reuse it,
Not screwing
we're
up.
not putting more money into.
Well, I had roofing company out, and had them camera all the lines, and we learned the water line's good, sewer line's good, so that's great.
That's excellent.
The piping for the restrooms is not so good. But if you're only replacing that and not trenching new sewer, new water, that's a
That's a smaller.
yeah, and we don't need a kitchen there, so we can strip out all that. So what happened, if you guys really wanna know what happened is, there was a restroom, there was a kitchen. And then when they made the restrooms ADA accessible, maybe like 20 years ago, they took out 2 stalls out of each of the men's and the women's to get the dimensions you need for wheelchair accessibility. They put concrete down some, they didn't on others, it's old cast iron pipes inside cement, and there's like a spaghetti tangle of wires, so when we get plugs, when we get backups there, baby wipes, please don't ever put a baby wipe down the public toilet or any toilet. We have a hard time finding them, they aren't between the toilet and the sewer, they're between the toilet and the kitchen, so by eliminating all that, make our lives a lot easier. So it was fascinating to get the diagrams and see what exactly was going on there, because we get, before every special event we get back, I don't know why, so.
This time we wait until the day after.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the special meeting on the 27th, this is that, or the entire agenda, because the.
Correct.
Pavilion
Pavilions and playgrounds.
Okay.
And that meeting starts at 7.
It does,
Seems to be a get in and get out.
yeah. No, it'll be a long meeting.
Oh, you said.
I would say, I mean, at least an hour.
Oh, that's
If not an hour and a half, yeah.
I have a board meeting that night, so I'll be coming late if I make it.
We didn't know if we start early.
No, we start close at 5:30.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so will we have a quorum if,
Well, Travis and Ed have already said they'll be here. Sue, Ed,
Okay.
Sue, Rob, will you be there? Sure. Okay, then we'll have a quorum.
We'll just go for that. No pressure.
Keisha, I'll have, are you working Monday?
Yes.
Okay, because I'll have everything probably Monday afternoon. So if you call me in the afternoon, I can do a screen share with you, you can see it.
And that's here in this room.
I think it'll be in council chambers,
I think we're in
actually.
the chambers.
Yeah, I think it'll be in the chambers. Either here or there, we'll be in the school.
The objective of the meeting?
The objective of the meeting is for you to see the designs, comment on them, and I believe there'll be some options for you to make recommendations on.
And then it will go to council.
And that goes to council.
Yeah.
I would anticipate you'll be looking at finishes and colors
But whatever we
And
decide.
pavilion, and pavilion.
on, yeah.
Which,
Yeah,
But whatever we decide, the council can say on something.
well, we're really hoping that that does not happen. Really hoping that that doesn't happen.
Like last time when we threw it out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that will really mess up the,
That would really
The
mess
timeline.
up our timeline, that really,
so we're really hoping that one.
everyone will have a heart attack, so please, next scene.
So Beverly,
That was my fault, so I take over.
You're our only hope.
I have a related question then, so then what is the objective, is the objective of the public meeting that comes after the council meeting simply to present? Because it doesn't sound like if there's a big public uproar or anything, that we're kind of like presenting a finished product. We're not, that meeting, right, I'm just gonna make sure I'm clear,
Well,
is not to solicit any opinions to factor in any kind of decisions. It's really just to say, hey, here's what's coming, we just wanna know what you think about it, but is that
Yes.
pretty much what we're?
Yes, it is, because that's what we did at the community center as well.
There's no judgment on it, if my tone suggested, forgive me, I'm just wanting to clarify that this, people coming to this meeting shouldn't be expecting that they're gonna
No.
be saying, I want red instead of blue,
No.
and.
But what we'll do at that meeting is we will also remind people how they've been part of the process, of, how did we get here? It didn't just arrive, pardon me?
We don't have a date yet.
So can I go back to Keisha Lee's comment?
Sure.
I think what happened last time was, I didn't realize that those were prefab until the council meeting. And if they were prefab, I was like, we weren't in love with any of them. I mean, this group was like, oh, if we have to pick one, let's pick this one. So when it got to the council, that's when we went, that's when I had an aha moment, and then we changed the course of the conversation. But, or it was more than me. But one of my comments for us for Monday night, say that we narrow it down, and we really like 2 of them. Then I think we send to the council priorities. This is our first choice, this is our second. Or our first choice is this with this, and our second choice would be the same one, but with this. Like finishes, like brick or no brick.
Yeah.
But I think that the more, that will help the council knowing what this group wants.
What if we don't like any of this?
But I think that's the point, so that, wow, like I said, we didn't know it was prefab, we didn't know that.
But,
So, or we didn't know there
So
was
I
an
think,
option to say, no,
I don't think there's surprises, and now we know what we know. And I think
But I
that
think also to be
the
clear,
that what we're gonna look at next year is also, I think, they took back the feedback from both groups. When they talk to them and say, this is what they like, and this is what they didn't like. And they wanted something more natural than something more this, and they wanted so I think that.
but I also,
They heard this time.
yeah, but I also wanna be clear, no matter what we get, it will be prefab. I mean,
We know that now, we know
Okay.
that now, but we didn't know that before.
Yeah, There are only prefab pavilions out there, unless we hire an architect and a custom builder to build it.
And maybe a whole other bond.
Correct,
Or more than.
correct, yeah.
So you're a financial parent.
Study finance.
Okay,
These
okay.
numbers make me think I'm in the wrong industry.
Well, just for,
Yeah, sounds like a
you
good
guys, just for fun,
Exactly.
so just for fun, the city I worked for before I came here, has their grand opening this weekend of their new community center that I worked on conceptual, the program conceptual and everything before I was here. And then they now are building it, and they designed everything after I left. So I got to
This
see,
time you're gonna stay through fruition.
yes, so this time, but I got to see photos of it ahead of the grand opening. So this community center is smaller than our community center. It cost over $40 million. And they had really cute furniture, so I said, oh, where's this beautiful wood, and it's got leather, and I'm like, that would be so great for us, so I got their staff report, so I could see who the vendors were. Guess how much their furniture is?
More than our community center.
$543,000 on just furniture.
Oh my God.
And they would have near as much seating as what we'll need.
So let me just say, this is a very economical project.
But you're also comparing California to Missouri.
It's
They
GSA
bought
pricing.
a government
It's all
contract,
GSA
and
pricing,
it's
so it's
Herman
all the same.
Miller, it's not, we have Herman Miller here, so it just really, we are doing a good job. Our community center is a little over 10 million, and it's larger than theirs, and they don't have a gym, they don't have a fitness center, nothing, so, I am very, very, pleased with the price we have. We have done a really good job of keeping our costs down, and we're having an excellent finished product, so.
And I'd like to back you up pretty quickly on that, just from what I observed in the meeting that I was at for Jim. We were talking about, we'll get more into it on with the playgrounds, but the feedback that the playgrounds were coming in were a little too spread out. It seemed like we had a lot of park space, right? We got all these things really spread out. And then the idea that, well, maybe we need to kind of bring it in a little bit. Well, that on top of that, with the cost savings in 5R and then the amount of area, or cost that, or even, I think easily in a situation in California, you're like, well, bigger is better, or in some cases, and why wouldn't we want to do all this? But I think there's a real conscious, it's always on everyone's mind, it appeared to me. It was very clear to me that people were not just saying, hey, what can we sell, what can we buy, how can we upcharge? It really felt like people were saying, what can we do that's really good, it works well, and stay within the budget as much as possible. So I thought that was a really small example. I'm sure there's lots of other ones.
Yeah.
But with the one was like, it was post and 5R was like 2,700 to 27,000 square feet. I think something like that savings, so.
Yeah. So, one of the things that we were looking at Villa, the original concept plan had added another playground area closer to the pavilion. And in theory, that was kind of nice for the way it kind of did that flow. But when you start looking at the playground pieces and they're right against the pavilion in the hall, I really said, let's pull back. So one of the recommendations that you'll see Monday is I'm recommending that we actually replace one of the play structures at Villa because it's the one we can't repair. We can't get the parts for it. So when you're at Villa and if you're standing in the parking lot looking at the pavilion, there are two playgrounds and the swing set. So the playground on the left is in excellent condition. The playground on the right is faded. It has the tic-tac-toe that's missing the top row because we can't get those parts. So we kept thinking we could get some from another company and put them on, and it just has not worked out. So rather than add another whole component there and another section of fiber that we have to maintain, I asked, can we remove that playground, put the new structure there, and then move our merry-go-round in closer, because right now it's kind of out by itself. And it brings it all into that a little bit more of an intimate setting. And I think, again, that goes back to our master plan of being financially responsible and sustainable. Because you guys hear us talk about what a pain in the neck the fiber is to replace every year. It's costly, weeds grow in it, but it really is a pain. There are two other quick things I wanted to tell you about. One, we have a general contractor. So the last meeting we talked about, we received the bids. The council accepted Wright Construction Services Incorporated. They are currently the company that's building the Wentzville Community Center. They built the Eureka timbers, and they built the pavilion out of the net. So they have solid track record of building community centers and being on time and on budget. So we're very pleased about that. And then I did want to share with you quickly some of the VEs, because I really want you to kind of see how this value engineering is going here, because it really is kind of weird, you know, kind of obscure things, but it makes a big impact. I think I have to stop share and then share. Here we go. And I apologize, this is a very small print. So let's see if I can do my dynamic zoom in. Okay. So what I mentioned before is that we are not going to change. You know, when we originally started looking at value engineering, the immediate things that everybody suggested is, oh, take that fancy roof off in your playground, get rid of those wing walls, put in different HVAC systems, you know, do all these things. And we said, absolutely not. The architectural beautifulness of this building is really important. We've shown it to the community. We have to find a better way. So we have really worked hard. So it gets a little kind of, so you can see here. So here, one of these suggestions was to change out all of these things on the HVAC system. And we didn't do it. We said no. So you can go through here, you can sort of see what potential savings were with a value added. And remember, this changes every week at our construction meetings. Every week this changes. But we've gone through and accepted and rejected things. Some of it, I can't remember what it is, an SMR panel width, 16 inches to 18 inches, I don't know what that is. We did change our coping on the building. We took that decorative wood ceiling that we have throughout the building, we took it out of the resorts, which for the kids really don't care about that, and it doesn't impact the aesthetics of the lobby. We took out another section above the far entrance doors to the community center. Again, it doesn't interrupt that flow, it wasn't functional. And we had some on the sides of the walls, we took that off. That was a significant savings. We also, we took out the wood section, over, you know, that's the multi-purpose entry there. Divider curtain from the gymnasium, the infrastructure will go in for us to do it, but by not putting it in now, by waiting, we save almost, we save a little over $11,000. So there's all these kind of small things that we've done because we want to keep the integrity of the architecture in the building, because we can only build once. There we had the bid alternate for the second divider in the multi-purpose room. So that one we took out, but it will, the infrastructure will be there. So again, later we can do it as a capital project and put it in if we finally need it. Another big thing that happened is we're working right now on landscape reductions. So the front of the building has a native wildflower garden, and it's pricey to put that in. But one of the things we did is I talked to all of it in Bloom, and they've agreed to do the planting with staff. And we're going to buy the plants internally with using wholesale prices. So that will save us a significant amount of money. But I think also that makes it become a more of a community project. So I'm really happy about those types of savings we've been able to do. And that will be a significant savings for us. So there will be more conversation about this at the next council meeting. You're welcome to listen. And then I will keep bringing this sheet back to
Listen,
you.
or come out, Sue comes up and sits in the back.
Yeah, you guys can, yeah, you can come.
And when we ask
here.
a question, she always should correct me.
Yeah, but you're welcome to come and listen in person and ask questions. So, okay, one thing on here I wanted to talk about was tree trunk salvage. So we have found a company that will come and take away our tree trunks. So we have some fallen trees that came down in the storm. We have some trees that have recently died, and then we have trees identified to be removed as part of the project. We also, as you know, continue to take down Bradford pears and ash trees. So we found something called, so they're called lumber logs, and what they do is urban log lumber. So they come in We hire a contractor to cut down the tree. And we take the branches off. And this company will come in, they take the whole log as if it were being logged, by a forester out, in a forest or something. They put it on the truck and then they take it to us, they have a sawmill in the city. And they actually make usable boards out of it and live edge. So they are gonna come and take those logs, so that saves us on having to pay someone to haul them. But also, they don't go to the landfill, they don't get shipped up. So they're gonna mark those logs for us, so that when we build the mantle for the lobby, we will be able to use wood that actually came out of our park. And I'm just thrilled that these gorgeous trees that have reached the end of their lifespan will now live on, because wood turners buy their work, custom furniture designers buy their work, and buy their lumber, so I'm very excited about that. And they like the ash and they like the Bradford pear, so that's great, because we've got an endless supply of it. So we're very excited about that. And then the limbs that come off, we're stockpiling a lot of those, so the edging of the playgrounds at Indian Meadows and Irvside, instead of the plastic edging that we have now, will be logs from our park. There'll be branches and logs and boulders. So the upper portion of Stacy Park that we received some very bad news on from the specialist that helped build our prairie, Scott Woodward, he's a nationally known specialist in tallgrass prairies, shortgrass prairies, native plants. He designed our prairie, he seeded our prairie, comes back periodically and gives us advice. So we had him out again, looking at our prairie and coming with an action plan to take the prairie, some of the prairie renovation process out of the master plan. And he pretty much told us flat out that the least performing prairie of all the prairie, over 40 prairies he's installed in St. Louis County, is our prairie. So when I talk about the upper prairies, the prairie that's along the road that goes out to Olive. So that's the section where it's looks very different than the very healthy one that goes down the hill to Dorset Park. We've struggled with that for years. That's where we have the crown vetch infestation, and it looks different from the prairie. So he has come to the determination that there's a toxin in the soil. The only reason that it's not thriving, he said we can test it, but he doesn't think we'll ever identify it. He believes it stems from the original construction in the 20s. Because he has installed prairies along highways where all the ground's been scraped out. He's installed on rock and it thrives. So he said there has to be something there that's inhibiting growth. So we can put new soil on top of it. If we buy the soil, we're looking probably around $50,000 to buy it. But we can also, we may get lucky and someone's doing an excavation somewhere else, we may be able to have it trucked in. But we may also need to look at a different use for that area. And one of the things we've been kind of grappling with is where to put that dog park at Stacy. We took it out of the plan, so that is potentially put there because we could grow fescue there easily. But for now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna mold that area where we have the infestation with the crown vetch. We can't poison it because it has a 20-year seed bank, so we've been poisoning it for 20 years before we killed all that seed. But in the meantime, we're gonna mow it down. It's already down now. And this is where we're gonna start storing all the logs that'll be used in the parks and some boulders. So we're gonna put some signs out there so people don't think that this is a junkyard. And we're gonna try and put everything in there.
Or they think it's free to take firewood.
Correct, that too, because as you all know, when we have our mulch piles and stuff, people come and help themselves, and we have to put signs on it, to stop them from taking it. So anyway, I wanted to make sure you all heard about that. And then the other thing I wanted you to know is that the dumpsters are out of Stacy Park. No one is dumping there illegally, it's fantastic, but we're getting a lot of calls from people saying, what happened to my free dump? So,
I wouldn't say no one is dumping illegally. Now people are just going there with all their wine bottles and putting them in the recycling bin, like a regular trash can.
oh, true, that's true.
Closet drinkers.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can call
You can call and get a pick
And
up
they-
from
and they-
the public services. They
And
will
right,
come.
your public services, and you can also get an extra recycle bin if you want.
You can, so we're directing people to their website, they've given us the links, and, one woman called and said, well, where am I gonna put my trash when I have a party in the park? You absolutely have trash cans in the park, they're still there, oh, is that enough?
There's enough there. I tell them.
I don't think there's enough.
So, you know, I'm very excited about Monday's meeting, I think you're gonna like what's coming, I think I'm gonna like what's coming, even though,
Have you seen it all?
I haven't seen it all, I've seen a lot of it, and I've given more direction, so I'm very excited about what we're gonna see out there.
Beverly, can I go back real quick to the,
Sure.
or just a quick question?
Yes.
So in some conversations with, some staff, there was one mention of maybe, so dog park certainly, but also to start putting trees or seeing trees.
We did talk about that too, we could put a forest there and shade out the crown vetch, we could do, like, you know, one of the things that Brian is very interested in doing is a short leaf pine section, because short leaf pine is the native pine it's the only native pine in Missouri. And most of the state of Missouri had pine trees all over it, so when you travel around and you see Big Piney River, or you see Pine Flats, or you see Pine Mountain, or all these different names, it's because there were pine trees there, and they were cleared for fuel for western expansion and for building and everything, and when they were gone, the oaks really grew up in those areas, so oaks now are growing in areas where they really were designed to be. Probably all of you have a pin oak somewhere in your neighborhood that's suffering, because it's not supposed to be growing here. So there's been a big push by the Missouri Department of Conservation to bring these pine forests back. So when you go in Mark Twain National Forest, you'll come across areas where they're replanted with pine. So that is something that Brian thinks would really add to the diversity of our parkland and might be nice. So that is definitely something you can consider there. And then, and it would be more like a real forest in that the trees would be spaced way out, and then there would be native woodland plants under them. And some of those forests are also burned periodically too, so that would fit in with our so that could be a pretty exciting addition. And there's no reason the dog park can't be under pine trees either. So, but shading, getting rid of that crown vetch is a top priority for us. We just haven't figured out a way to do it yet without using industrial poisons. We're gonna add the election on there, I should have added it. That's all I've got for the next one, but that will be in November.
You won't be back for our October meeting?
No. Comes back right back. This year-
We'll be recorded, so we don't have to advertise.
I'm shocked he's not on.
Diane too, Diane probably put her foot down.
It's probably 3 AM here.
Yeah. So under upcoming dates, the only thing we haven't talked about so far on here is the October 30th, all of that night out, so.
No, September 30th.
So did I say that? Yes, I'm sorry, September 30th is all of that night out.
And it's a fun night, and the fire department will bring the fire trucks and the police cars, and the kids get their hats and pictures with everybody, and
Is your group gonna do one?
Will the community center be open bathroom wise or no?
We have programs on Thursday nights and something on Thursday nights.
We don't have-
We don't have anyone on Thursday nights, but we could schedule someone if you guys wanna reserve it.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause you haven't had one in a couple of years, so it'd be nice.
It's typhooning 1 year. and-
Yeah.
so typhoon, that was an understatement.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't understand everyone's in the garage. It was pre-COVID, so.
Yeah.
You know, if they're getting as many families, as many residents.
It was slow to come back, but I think they're picking up now.
Well,
Yeah.
we were gonna do it, but there's some curriculum, they don't want the school.
A what?
Half of our streets involved in that.
It's what?
Curriculum.
Curriculum night.
Oh, no.
So there's a bunch of our neighbors who would be putting it on.
Close up, yeah.
So I think we're gonna go,
Okay.
because kids enjoy it more than anyone else. The kids out there.
Yeah. Is curriculum night in person this year, teacher?
Apparently.
Curriculum night is in person, parent teacher conferences are virtual. So yes, it is.
So apparently it is.
Okay.
So I was disappointed.
Is that for all the schools the same night or different schools different night?
I think it's all the same.
Oh.
So that may be.
But it's really just the high school and the middle school, if I'm not mistaken.
So that may be also.
Oh, right. Because it gets darker early, maybe we should head out early, but who's in charge of it?
Police department,
Okay.
yeah, you can talk to them.
Is it Renata?
I don't
It
know,
might be Dane.
might be Dane, yeah.
Okay.
This isn't he the new community outreach?
Yeah.
It was Renell in the past,
Yeah, okay, I'll talk to them. Okay.
but, yeah.
Yeah, it starts at 5:30.
The curriculum night?
But fifth grade.
I think that's the one in Tenny Street.
Yeah, fifth grade.
Is the fifth.
Your kids are growing up, your neighbor's grown up. Your neighbor used to be lots of little kids, and I guess they're getting,
They're all 10, 6, 7, 8.
wow. All the things you have looked to.
So there's no change.
Yeah. Pardon me?
That's the only day that was a question of the curriculum night, everything else is so solid.
No, that was just, I was just sharing it.
It's next, so because we didn't do it in June, we went with the nationwide national night, I think.
Yeah,
Is that what it is for the
I have
one
no idea. No, I just talked about that because that was the only one that we hadn't talked about in our, because that's not
Right.
sponsored by the rec department. Yeah. So all these other upcoming dates are the same.
We'll be back at it again on Monday.
I'm sorry, so next Thursday is not holiday night.
Yes, it is.
It is, yeah.
We didn't.
It's also just curriculum night.
We might have less of attendance.
Yeah, that's just, majority.
Can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.